thank you for joining us today. We're going to gather together. We're going to sing now. Stanzas 1, 3, and 5. Or maybe we can just have a little bit of post-punk heartstrings blues.
Greetings, fellow Earth babies, and welcome to Post-punk Heartstrings. I'm Jimmy James S. Butler, and today we'll be talking with Chris Newkirk and Patrick Shipchevsky of the band The Julies. And I'm very excited about this episode and the next episode, which features another band called The Swoon. And The Julies and The Swoon were both bands that I had on my list when the seeds of this podcast were first germinating in my brain. And I made a list of all the bands who have been influential or inspiring to me throughout the years. And The Julies and The Swoon were both on that list. And it's quite intriguing to me that these bands were on that list because they both were part of the obscure Christian alternative music scene in the late 80s / early to mid 90s. And they both appeared to be one and done with the albums that they put out. The Julies had an EP called Lovelife, and The Swoon had a couple of EPs kind of put together as a A-side and B-side on their self-titled The Swoon. And the music from both bands was very impactful to me and so many other fans who are still wondering exactly what the story was for why they were here. And then they, for all intents and purposes, disappeared. So again, I'm very excited, and I was really thankful that Chris and Pat were able to join us for the chat. I wish we could have also had Alex, but things don't always work out, and I'm just thankful that we got to be able to catch up with 2/3 of the Julies and hear their perspective on the musical journey from their early days up until now. They are currently working on a new album, which is set to drop sometime in February of 2026. There is the first single from the new album called Summermouth that dropped maybe a couple of months ago. I can't remember exactly how long it's been as of this recording, but it is out there as well. And I think they have a somewhat mysterious post on Facebook right now that there is going to be something in early January, which I'm guessing is maybe the next single. So we got something to get excited about. And I'm really thankful that also this episode, the timing of it is perfect to queue up the next singles and the album that will be dropping very soon. We had an awesome conversation, a lot of fun with the guys. And so I'll speak a little bit more on the back end in the outro for the episode. But for now, I think it's time we just jump right in.
Can you please come over here a minute?
Okay.
We were just having a little talk, and we'd like it if you could tell us what you think. Here, let me draw you a picture.
A face.
What kind of face?
Smiling face.
Yes, a happy face. Now, what's this?
An unhappy face.
Right. Now let's give them names. Let's call this one Smiley. And this one Sulky. Would you say you look more like Smiley or Sulky? If you want other children to like to play with you, you'll have to be a Smiley, not a Sulky.
All the verses about kisses, all the unrequited writing. Decades have decided I was a romantic goof, one of the sulky youth, the sulky youth, always misunderstood. When I look back,
Good day, how are ya?
Well, look at us. We're all prompt.
Hey,
Unlike a band. So
very prompt. How's it going, man?
It's going all right. It's going all right.
Yeah?
Good to visually meet you guys.
Yeah, same.
Good to meet you.
It took a little while, didn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, that's that way we roll.
That was like June or maybe July or whatever when we
It's
were
been a while.
kind of chatting. So that's nothing new. That's nothing new.
grown-up life,
we
right?
we reschedule a lot and do all that stuff. So
Well, thank you for being patient. You've got me and Patrick
Oh, yeah.
tonight.
How are
So
you?
you have
All right.
2 out of the 3
Nice.
current Julies.
Awesome.
yeah. Nice to meet you both. I'm Jimmy. Okay,
I'm Jim.
and this is Jim. Just Jim, as we
We
say.
have very creative parents.
I
I
mean,
feel like I need some glasses. I don't.
I know. Well, I wish
you
I
get the
could
memo?
not have them.
yeah.
These are reading glasses too, but But I wish I could not have them because I can't. Then I can't read anything on the screen. So
Yeah, I think we're.
I can't interview. I could just go off the top of my head. I guess maybe that's better than questions. But
You're a professional.
Well, I know I don't have answers to look at, so I can take them. I'm definitely going off the top of my head.
sometimes people ask for them, but we prefer. I wouldn't say we prefer, but it's kind of nice just to go in and you guys
Spontaneous.
off the top of your head. It's just a conversation, it's just a chat. And we'll probably go off on tangents. I'm sure.
Please. Yes, tangent
Which is
away.
what we enjoy. So hopefully that's good for you guys. We got a bunch of questions.
great.
What do we have?
Maybe about 4 hours.
36 questions. We didn't hit 40 this time.
Yeah.
We've been hitting pretty high lately
Well,
with
I've seen some of
the.
your guests. You've
Yeah.
some,
And then we have to whittle them
some
down
heroes
to
on,
get
so-
everything into 2 hours. But
Yeah.
You have to realize that you're talking to people your age who go to bed at like 9.
right.
Must be a parent too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just came in for my
understood.
first ever night out coaching basketball. That's
Oh,
not,
Oh, okay.
so there's
Son, daughter.
yeah. I've got 2 sons.
Okay.
That's awesome.
What age are we talking about for coaching basketball?
12 for the 7th grade.
Okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
middle school. Nice. Yeah.
That's exciting.
Soon to be 7.
Kind of learning the ropes at that point with basketball, probably. Well, I don't know anymore. I guess they probably start young, I guess. But
Oh, they start everything young now.
Yeah.
everything.
yeah, I hear you. I said we jump in.
Let's
you guys
jump
want to
in.
jump right in? That way
Dive
we can
right
get
in.
it all covered.
Can we talk about
with
your
all of our
background before we
tangents that
jump
we're going
in,
to go
though?
on? What's
So we
that?
got, Hawkwind, right?
I see Bowie and Labyrinth.
Labyrinth.
Yeah.
What are those guitars in the cases?
I play guitar. I'm in a band out of Conestoga, Pennsylvania.
Oh, we're not too far.
Yeah. So
What are the guitars?
I made a Strat, so it's out of pieces. I have a Gretsch hollow body and a Fender Telecaster.
Nice.
So yeah.
You
Hot
stacked
Rod
those
Deluxe.
intentionally, didn't you?
I
so
did.
You could,
I don't have any room in here.
so they would ask.
It's just a cramped room.
That's cool, though. No.
And that's Frank at the bottom.
Yeah, Frank. You don't play Frank.
No.
I hope not. I don't know.
Frank plays me.
Play his belly, like a drum.
I've got a little dog home down below my desk here too.
Oh, cool.
Oh, cool.
So, but he's absent from running around.
He's
He's
AWOL.
about- he's about
His name
100
is
now.
Bowie, by the way. So
Oh, that's a
Oh,
good
nice.
apropos to the background
Nice.
behind Jimmy.
Respect. Yes. All right. Well, we were joking before we got on because Jim, he usually doesn't get many questions in because I'm talking a lot and maybe, I don't know, maybe
make
that's just the way it is,
questions.
Jim. I guess,
I do make questions. Though. You gotta
And then
give me
usually it's like I call on him. Jim has a question, like he's the little kid. Not intentionally, but that's
I'm
what
just-
happens.
I'm Jimmy's support. That's all.
But so I was telling him like I'm going to cue him a little bit more this time, and so you get to ask the first question.
Oh, wow.
You have the list, right? I give you
I
a
do.
list.
I'm ready.
Last night.
Are you guys ready?
Let's let them introduce themselves.
first.
Patrick, you can go first.
I'm Patrick Spichevsky. I play guitar for the Julies.
Good to meet you.
Nice to meet you. Nice to have you.
And I am Chris Newkirk, and I write the words and sing the words.
Cool.
Very nice. Good to meet
Very,
you both.
very nice to have you both on.
It's nice to be here.
Jim, go for it, buddy.
All right.
I'm cueing you.
Question 1. Is this your latest interview since Low Profile with Markley Morrison?
No.
Because I didn't really see anything else. I did some research and I didn't really see too many interviews.
There might have
No,
been
I mean-
definitely some magazine interviews, I think, or
Yeah, I mean, we're not as popular as you might think.
Indie Vision. Wasn't that one that was more recent, maybe?
That was a written interview. We did something called Surprise Cast recently. Well, not that recent, but it was over the spring. And there's a couple before that as well. I
What
can't.
was the Cure one, Chris?
Oh yeah, we did the Cure, the Holy Hour Cure podcast. Yeah, it's an all Cure podcast,
Oh,
and
cool. Yeah.
you may have heard rumors of some fandom on our end.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So
We've heard about that.
I can speak for myself, and I can speak for Alex, who's absent. Total Cure fanboys, and one of our also founding members, John Beta, was a Cure fanboy. It was one of the sort of building blocks of the band. Pat's a fan, but not as fan. He's not a fanboy. So. And then we did something with a new friend named Pete. I forget the name of his. Gosh, like oh man, it's a long, provocative name, and I can't believe I can't remember the name of it. But that's what happens when you're a famous band like us. You don't remember
Got too many to remember.
Yeah.
any of the TV shows you're on, right?
Cool. Yeah.
We've done a few. The Markley one was just when I think we were reissuing Lovelife it feels like many moons ago now.
Yeah.
15
I have it
years
down
ago,
as, was it? I had it down
thought it
as
was.
March 2024.
No,
Maybe that was when it was posted. I don't know.
no. That one was quite a while.
Yeah, on YouTube, I think it's
That was just me.
15 years ago.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's like, I think it was 2020. One of the other podcasts is called The Book of Very Bad Things. It's just
Oh, yeah. I've actually listened to that. I think I listened to a different episode, but I can't remember who it was.
Yeah, it's super cool.
Yeah.
he does a lot of hardcore.
Yeah, it sounded really cool. Yeah, it was a cool podcast.
Yeah.
All right.
They've all
So,
been cool, including this one so far. That's the way it's.
well, yeah, we'll see about that.
We're killing it.
We also did two more. Wait, we did a Def Leppard episode on
Oh, that was dope.
band free guilt or
Sweet.
guilt free pleasures, and which is just going through pop music and just shamelessly talking about a song that you love that maybe you shouldn't.
Yeah, that's fun.
And then there was also Your Band Saved Us, which was like a 2.5 marathon.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they're huge fans. I've heard a bunch of their episodes. And early on, Clifton in particular was one of the guys, and he was talking about the Julies. And I was like, I know who they are. That was probably a couple years ago that they did that one at least.
Yeah,
maybe
I think
3 or 4.
Like it was 2021, I think. I think it was the second podcast we ever did, and it was like
Yeah.
Pat and Alex still joke because there's a lot of questions about the lyrics. So
Yeah.
they had some. They needed some
As there
closure,
should
I
be.
think, from their
What
distant
did you
past.
mean there?
Oh, yeah. I love the podcast. It's a good one, too. So we kind of we do this with every guest pretty much. We go from the kind of the beginning chronologically and, even for beginning of when you guys got interested in music when you were young. Okay. So that's our first question. How did you become interested in music and how do you get into it? Each of you. Chris, we can start with you.
Yeah. For me, I mean, when I was really young, single digits, like 6, I found my parents' record collection in the basement. And it was the Beatles and the Monkees and Dylan. And, I didn't know any better than to just start spinning them because I grew up in an era where turntables were in every home still, right? Before the Renaissance. And so we just started playing them and started falling in love. My brother and I, my middle brother, close in age with myself, started falling in love with certain songs. I still remember dancing to Taxman to this day, vividly. And then from there, the first artist that I discovered on my own and claimed was Run DMC. That became my first this is my group, this is my life.
That tracks.
Yeah. And then I stumbled across I kind of I got into from 80s hip hop. I discovered that kind of freestyle sort of dance music thing, and they started spinning Erasure, New Order on those channels.
Ooh.
And it just sucked me in like nobody's business. And I just fell into this as a teenager, this black hole of New Order and The Cure and The Smiths, all those new wave post-punk artists, but via somehow this dance channel. Then I started finding all those odd to the left and right of the dial channels, and just started trying to figure out who were these bands and what were these songs. I remember I heard a New Order song, and I went to go find the song thinking that it's going to be on the back of the record and it's going to have the chorus as the title, but no, it didn't, right? So I bought Power, Corruption, and Lies by mistake when I was looking for Bizarre Love Triangle, but they never sang Bizarre Love Triangle, so what did I know? They were singing Every Time I See You Falling, so I'm looking for the song that's Every Time I See You Falling. But anyway, that was my sort of how I got into music journey from those. Those are, I guess, an intro to music for myself in 3 acts.
Cool. Cool. What about
Wow.
you, Pat?
That's a lot.
Is it
Chris.
Pat? Do you prefer Patrick
It is a lot.
or Pat?
I'm Patrick, but I don't really
Okay.
care.
No, I want to say what you prefer. So yeah, Patrick, go for it.
Thank you. Yeah, I guess, I mean, I grew up in a pretty conservative Christian home where there wasn't a lot of music, but I had an uncle who was like the weird uncle, but like the good weird uncle. He always had like, Milton Nascimento and like all this like, really weird like Brazilian or like, I don't know, Latin jazz, because that's what he was into. But he was also into like Miles and like all the weird like cool stuff. And he had a Cure record and a bunch of Police records. And so like those were the ones that like really changed things for me. But then I also had a friend, I guess, in middle school who was into U2 and REM. So I got these tapes, and then we look like we're similar aged. So like I grew up in New Haven, Connecticut, in that area.
Oh yeah, I know it.
Yale has a station, 88.7, which is most of the college stations, but I would just press play and record overnight because they would just, play their radio show and to see what ended up on my tape, right? Like it would always be really something really bad or something really good. But like, I found, Siouxsie and the Banshees, I found The Clash, a bunch of other stuff that like I never would have done if there wasn't public radio. So I owe a lot to that. And then, ended up at Messiah and met, the rest of the Julies, and they introduced me to a bunch of stuff that I had no idea. I really wasn't into what was happening, in Europe or in England. But, Chris, the rest of the guys showed me The Cure and the Smiths, and instantly, a huge fan.
Thank God for like college rock and public radio back in those days, because that's where the same kind of my story was the same. I went to a Baptist university, and it was in Missouri near a state university that had they had a college rock station. So that's where I found all those bands that you're talking about. And so it just opened up my musical horizon, totally. So if it wasn't for those stations, like, I probably wouldn't have heard half of that stuff until much, much later. So, yeah. So this kind of dovetails into the next question that Chris hit upon as well. So what was the first album that each of you were either gifted or you purchased with your own money? Like you wanted it, went out and bought it. And we always say there's no judgment associated with this.
Thank you.
We say it.
Yeah, we don't mean it.
We don't mean it.
We want to make you feel better. Later we'll put stuff in, when we put the episode out.
Yeah.
Can you believe this guy?
True to my introduction to music in 3 acts, it was the first one that was mine. I put on my Christmas list. It ended up in my stocking. A cassette was the self-titled Run DMC record. The eponymous debut, and Rick Rockbox was my jam. That was my song that was my middle school like anthem.
Nice.
That's hard to follow.
Almost impossible, but give it a shot.
I mean, like I said, I had a very cool uncle who's actually going to spend Thanksgiving at my house, which I'm really excited about, from Connecticut, who just fed me records. But the first one that I probably bought or definitely bought was a tape, and it was REM Document.
Love that album. Yeah, might be my favorite from REM.
I still remember, again, when I went out and bought that New Order, when I bought Power, Corruption, Lies, looking for Bizarre Love Triangle, which was on Brotherhood, which I had no idea. I got just virtue of like hearing the song on Outlier Radio, and the other song I heard was Infected by the. And I went out and bought the Infected album at the same time I bought Power, Corruption, Lies. Those are the 2 first records or tapes I bought in that genre. So sometimes when I think back to those milestone first records, when I think about the sort of indie alternative, new wave world, those 2 are the first 2 that like have followed me, like have defined me. Like that's the genre, right? And the style of music that is I entered into myself, and I still like obsess over. Not that I don't play Run DMC on a regular basis, I do. But those bands and those albums are still like among my favorites.
Yeah.
Solid.
I mean, those things were also happening on like 120 minutes, right? Like
Yeah,
but I grew up
there
in a
was a
Christian home
range
too.
of-
I didn't have MTV. So like I went to
What's that?
college. College is my introduction really to like 120 minutes of postmodern.
me
And
too.
yeah,
I had a friend who had like cable, and like we had, we would watch that stuff, and I was like, wow. The is another one that, like, for sure.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny, years later when the band, not to jump ahead, but when the band started getting its footing, we had a sort of a supporter, a friend in the band named Matt Pinfield, who ended up going on to host 120 minutes. So it all kind of came full circle in that sense.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's really cool. So, were you guys in any bands before the Julies form? I know you had. There was a band called Garden Party with John, and I don't know who else was in that one.
John was in that band with three other gentlemen in its latest iteration. It started off as a band called Poorhouse Fair, and then it morphed into to Garden Party. I ran sound and wrote lyrics for Garden Party, but that was my only actual like interaction or involvement in a band before the Julies. It was the breakup of that band which prompted John to get bold and ask me to front this band. So, but Pat, you played a little bit before the Julies.
I mean, this was my first band for sure. And we had tried to do things when I was in high school, but never ended up anything.
Nice.
It was mostly about like trying to see if girls liked us.
Yeah, that's what it's all about at that
It's a
point.
driving force.
So, how did the band come together? Let's talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, when Garden Party, they were a cool band, very much in a similar style to where we netted out. Maybe a little bit more MIDI up, sort of sonically, and then really cool, and maybe a little bit more 80s-y too, than where we were kind of indie rock was exploding and shoegaze was happening. But when that band dissolved, John, who was the bassist and sort of the heartbeat of Garden Party, wasn't ready to hang up his guitar strap, so he said he started a new band, and he came over to my dorm room or apartment, and he said, "Hey, that band's over. This band, I'm starting something new, and you're singing in it." And that was like, I'm like, I don't sing in a band. I sing in practice sometimes for Garden Party when the singer's not there, just so you guys can practice. He's like, yeah, that's what I'm asking you. And I'm like, well, I can only sing half the songs you guys do, so I'm not really gonna be able to do all the songs this band does. Clearly, he's like, you'll get there. And so I was like, all right, why not? I love the music. I love that kind of music. And then we had to find cohorts, right? We had to find the other, especially in those days, you couldn't be just a duo. maybe there were a couple then Pet Shop Boys and
Boombox behind you.
Yeah. But there's only so many. We didn't have that kind of talent to just carry it, but as the two of us. So we found Alex, who's in the band to this day, by virtue of, we knew he played guitar. He was a hair metal guy, but he was getting into bands that we were into. He was borrowing tapes from us, especially from John. John was just feeding him Cure albums and other records. And it felt like, okay, so there's a guy that plays guitar and, has a BC Rich. Okay, whatever, we can work with that.
Was it a Warlock? Or?
I don't know any. I'm not a very good with guitars, but it was white and it had a checkered strap. I know it was a BC Rich, and I know he was playing Rat like just a year before that. So then we found Craig, who was a drummer. He had drummed, and he was probably the most accomplished. He had played in previous bands, starting in his teenage years. And then we put up signs around campus, and that's when Patrick joined us, and I'll pass it to Patrick.
Yeah, it was weird. There was a join a band with you could pull the thing with a number and then take the number home and call it. And so I called it, and then
So you call
I guess I had a little, I don't know, whatever you call it. It was really quick. How many other people showed up?
Did you rip all the other ones off and just leave?
Well, I mean, it's a Christian college, and we were an alternative band, so I think Pat probably is the only one that called. I'm not sure. I don't remember. I do remember that after he auditioned, he wasn't going to get the job, right? Everybody, John called me and he's freaking out because I had graduated and I was going back and forth between Pennsylvania and New Jersey. he called me freaking out. He goes, this guy, he played "Where Is My Mind" by the Pixies. He played "Where Is My Mind" by the Pixies. And this is like before.
Is that a bad?
Before you
He's
heard,
saying
I
that's
heard
bad
somebody.
or good?
I heard somebody playing it on a piano at Newark Airport last week. I'm like, that's where that song's gone. But at that point, it was like
Yeah.
it was such an underground gem that like no one knew it. It didn't blow up from being in a Fight Club yet. So
Right.
so it was a moment. Yeah.
But again, I grew up in, Connecticut, Boston, so like Pixies were big.
Yeah, that's where they're from. Yeah.
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 Yeah. And you had the uncle feeding it. No, feeding
Well,
it
the
to you.
uncle was out of the picture by that point.
So what were I think we kind of talked about this a little bit, your influences in the early days. What were you listening to? There's a follow-up question we can talk about. Were there any clashes with each of the members wanted the sound to be, or what bands you liked and you're like,
Well, Greg came from a sort of clean Southern alternative sound. Like, so his bands were like the Connells was a big band for him. There's a band called Dylan Fence. I only know because of him that he was way into, and that was a style band like he had played in. So sort of like that kind of a rock band that leaned alternative because they were a little bit more literary, and they weren't mainstream radio friendly, but they were pretty much the rock formula. And like bands like the House Martins were the commonality. And Trash Can
Crossovers, right?
Sinatras.
Like Bell and Sebastian.
Yeah. So I mean that was pre-Bell and Sebastian days, but that kind of band, right?
mm-hmm.
And we were all into distortion pedals and sort of cover like it was the aesthetic that we were attracted to, but it was also like we were all still learning everything. So I could barely sing, everybody's still learning how to play their instrument. So distortion came in handy, like reverb came in handy for me. And Greg was used to a cleaner, more refined sound. And it was never a clash as much as it was like, why do we need a distortion for this song? Or like, dude, you got to get on board. And it's like, why do we need to get a distortion for this song? Like, you'll see the light someday or not. And this one will maybe crash dramatically. But we kind of found our in between there to some degree.
Yeah, I don't think there was much clash. For sure, there were different like angles, right? Like, I mean, I grew up like playing music in Philly, and like when I was in Philadelphia, like there was a ton of like angular, weird, like Archers of Loaf and all that stuff, right? Like that we kind of liked, but we also were like, how do we make this part of our sound too? And like Pavement and like all that kind of dirty stuff. And I felt like, for our band, it was more clean and more not clean, but like dirty clean, like like a Valentine versus like weird time signatures and
like dissonant chords,
right,
and like detuning.
But I feel like
loose.
Radiohead did a lot of work for us, right? Like they kind of helped us kind of skate that middle ground where there were like that dissonant, the feedback, all that kind of stuff too that we could integrate into what we did. Catherine was another band that I think is the one that kind of fit in the middle of what we were doing. Like,
Yeah. We were all into that scene too. Like Adorable was a very much like a blueprint of where we ended up, though they were probably a little bit more in that extension of the post-punk scene where we were trying, like where John and I, that those were our roots, was the post-punk new wave stuff, and that was sort of the vision, was where do we take that. Pat came in with like a more of an American indie rock perspective and brought that to the table. Greg had a cleaner, like more of like a southern alternative indie rock thing where it was clean sounds, some nice 16ths on the drums, and just a little tidier. And then Alice came from like hair rock and metal, like a little bit more, and was just following the Cure and the post punk scene, and falling in love with that, and finding that sort of like that path from Rat to
Striper.
Rat and Striper too.
I loved Rat when I was like 15. That was my band, Rat.
They still sound good now.
Revisit a great voice.
Yeah.
You guys went to Messiah, right? Is that what you said?
Messiah College. That's where
Did you guys know who Believer was?
Yeah.
Okay, because
they were. Yep. There was a whole. Yeah, but I mean,
they were probably like all prim and proper in person
No,
or
they
whatever.
were
I don't know.
they were your typical like what you would call in the 80s like dirtbags, right? Like you remember Freaks and Geeks, that TV show?
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Like
love
they
that
they
show.
they
Yeah,
they looked just like metalheads. I mean,
yeah.
and they sat together at lunch with the metalheads, and then we were like John and I and some of our friends would sit there with the sort of alternative new wave crew, right? And but everybody was cool. They were cool dudes. They were very authentic, and they were never like if I were in a touring
Mm.
band in college, and that's what we were trying to do ultimately at one point, right? Like I would have been lording it all over the campus. I mean, I'll be honest.
Look at us.
Like they were very humble, very sweet guys.
Oh, that's cool.
I would not have been as humble as them at that time.
They got pretty big, or it's kind of big anyway.
Yeah, I mean
They
they
had a pretty
were
good following.
they were something. I mean they were well known, and like they didn't act it.
I think I might have had a Believer cassette at some point.
Yeah, I did. First one, I think.
Yeah, that's probably the first one I had too. So, since the Church is Jim and I's favorite band, and I don't know if I read it all, but I think I read most of the Indie Vision Music interview. I knew that you guys that was an influence, at least on some level, for some of you.
Yeah.
So I can't help but chat a little bit about the Church.
Yeah, so they're a top 5 band for me all time.
Awesome.
I've seen them at least 20 times.
Wow.
In their
Oh, wow, that's a lot.
I mean, I live outside New York
Way
City.
more than I have.
So,
Yeah.
but yeah, they play a lot.
Yeah.
Coming back soon. Or
They're
next year.
yep.
And I mean,
Early next year.
And I still have seen them that many times. It's
Did you
insane.
see him at Keswick a couple of years ago? You guys are
No.
okay.
Alex and I had tickets for this August, but they canceled.
Right.
Yeah.
They were going to
I
play
still have,
like 200 feet from my house at the
when
Columbia.
when you had the tickets.
Yeah.
Oh,
Such a
jeez.
rip off, dude. They're probably not going to play them in the next
I mean,
door.
whatever.
I told Jim I'm bad luck because all the concerts I've been buying tickets for, I'm either there's something going on, they cancel, I'm sick, whatever. But I finally saw the Chameleons. I finally made it to that one because they canceled twice for Kansas City, and then the Church. The Church was supposed to be here a couple of years ago, a little bit further north than Kansas City, and I got COVID like that day before. I felt like crap. So, but yeah. We'll see. We'll see if I ruined it in May or whatever they're coming.
So they were probably like when you were asking about the history of the band, and I went back to Poorhouse Fair, the biggest influences on that band were the Church and REM, and they covered the Church and REM. And then the next iteration, which was Garden Party, they used to play Electric Lash and
oh yeah, wow, from Seance.
Yeah. I mean, I still love that record.
That's interesting.
Yeah, they played a couple of Church songs, but Electric Lash was one of their songs. It's like they made it their own, and it became like a crowd favorite. And then it's a deep cut to these days, right? Maybe not.
Yeah, that's true.
Longer back you go, at least it had some sort of cultural resonance, but not even that much then, right? Because they were never that big, and then there were bigger songs to pick from. But we were compared to the Church a lot because of Alex and Patrick's intertwining guitar style when we played. Like they both, it was very much like a Marty and Peter setup where they both just wrote parts that could have been individual parts and carried the song, but somehow they worked in synergy together. And, it sort of gives the band a stylistic aesthetic, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Sure.
But I mean, Steve Kilbey is one of the best lyricists.
Amazing. Yeah, we had a chance to talk to him, and
I saw that. Oh, geez.
It was so great. Yeah. Jim, I don't know if I mentioned to you, but I've had people reaching out. They're wanting us to do like a Church podcast and do all the albums.
Just Church, nothing else.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a Cure one, might as well.
Yeah.
You're right. I mentioned that because you were talking about that.
Dude, invite me on. I'll geek out on the Church with you for real.
So I guess we'll do all the albums eventually.
I had a songwriting partner that I wrote a lot of lyrics for and some of the music with him, named Ian McGlynn, who plays on our Always and Always record. He's a big Church fan too. We met going to a church as grown-ups. I had a return to church for a hot second in my adult life. And I met him there, and we bonded over the Church. And we created this whole video series where we rank every Church album from lowest to highest that he still has on a hard drive somewhere that never saw the light of day. We just totally geeked out over it.
They were a pretty big influence on a lot of bands,
Yeah.
more so than I thought after, before talking to all these different bands,
They feel like a niche thing now, but they weren't back in the day, right?
Right.
Right.
They were fairly epic. I mean, maybe not playing big halls or venues as much, but they're still like, quite the band. I mean, they're one of the first bands I remember hearing on the radio of that kind of, from that genre. I remember going to Mexico to play soccer and hearing Reptile and Under the Milky Way both playing on, the radio there before I ever heard it in the US.
Oh, that's cool.
Mm-hmm.
Some memory, man.
So what was
good. Like,
what was that?
I mean, Chris, you mentioned soccer. Like, soccer was a big like connector of all of us. Like, John.
Oh, wow.
I mean, John met Alex through soccer, right?
John was a soccer star in college. Yeah, he was really talented and a crowd favorite. It was a big soccer school, and he might have had some accolades too, like at the conference. It's a D3 school, but it's a soccer school. It's a perennial like Final Four school every year, just about. And then Alex and I played rec. Alex played JV there. I played rec. Pat played growing up too, and played in clubs. And Greg was the only one that didn't play soccer, but he was able to hold his own playing with us. Greg was he played college basketball at Messiah College.
Well, that's cool.
We're a bunch of sportos, really.
I guess.
Yeah.
They're very
Sports
well-rounded.
Yeah, absolutely. So what was it like in the early days of the band as far as playing out, in the indie music scene in that area? Let me get it right. Is it Mechanicsburg, or is just there's a greater area around that's kind of, because I'm not as familiar as probably Jim. You might be more familiar.
I've been there a couple times.
Yeah.
It's kind of near Harrisburg, which doesn't have a huge, but not too far from Philadelphia.
Yeah. We kind of had three bases. We like Central Pennsylvania, Philly, and New York City, because I was from New York City area on the Jersey side. And then, Philly was, a couple of guys were from around there, and Greg was from New Jersey, northern. No, he wasn't. His girlfriend and wife was from New Jersey, and Alex's wife was from New Jersey too. But I was from
Like Lancaster too, right, Chris?
Yeah. But I mean, it was different then because bands playing out. I mean, it was still a scene. Like, not everybody played music then. It was like only so many people joined bands in the 90s. Not like now everybody's got Spotify tracks up. I go to work and I'm not the only one in a band. It's like everybody got Spotify. They're like, hell, you should check out my stuff.
I'm on
So in the 90s, it was a rare thing.
Yeah.
You guys had live in the area, band live.
What's that? Oh yeah,
Live or from
band live. Yeah.
York, PA.
I never heard of them.
What were they called before that?
I don't know.
Because they were a big local band before they were called Live. Like Mental Jewelry or something.
That's terrible.
That's their first album.
Oh, maybe that's the album title. It was
Mental Jewelry, I think.
Yeah. So before they were discovered, what was it, like Jerry Harrison from Talking Heads, I think, found them.
Really?
Signed them. Yeah, they were this local band.
They're from York, right?
Yeah.
Alex.
Now, how far I know the Ocean Blue are from Hershey. So how far is that from that area? Or,
Not far.
did you know of them?
Yeah.
That band?
Yeah, they were. Yeah. I mean, we saw them live a couple times in those days before we started our band, and then ran into David at a bookstore right near campus, shopping in the classics.
Yeah, that sounds like him.
Yeah.
Books. He's always talking about books and paintings and stuff. So
Yep. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. They were big. They were the first, Pennsylvania band to kind of break out in exactly the genre we were sort of existing in.
Exactly.
At the time.
Yeah. Was there any particular track that you played live that like just really killed it, that everybody always loved?
Is it Christine?
Yeah, probably. I think there's you'd have to go through eras, right, Pat? It was probably Wish before that.
Okay.
Just open with that sometimes, and then probably Wake Up Christine.
Yeah.
And then we covered Homeboy by Adorable for a few shows, which went over pretty well.
But I'm sure they thought it was our song.
Yeah, exactly. We probably didn't dispel that perception either.
So, speaking of the early days, so you guys had a self-made cassette called Discovering.
Discovering the Julie.
And I have a picture of it right here because it's like two toddlers that are looking down their diapers, discovering, and it says discovering. And I was like, I know you guys weren't, I know from reading and just listening and stuff that you weren't seeking out a Christian label, down the road necessarily. But that would have been so awesome for you to get on a Christian label and to have this be the cover and it be in the Christian bookstore. I would love that so much.
Yeah.
I mean, it would be immediately pulled from the shelf like the next day, but
next to like Michael W. Smith.
Yeah, we didn't really know much about that scene too much. I mean, we all grew up, I think, in churchy homes, but we weren't
especially
fans of
Patrick, it sounds
that
like.
music. All of us, seriously. We're all very, I guess, fundamentalist homes, or what I would call that. But
Yeah.
at varying degrees of probably strictness and I was able to listen to Run DMC without an issue, but my dad did come in. I was listening to the Cars, and there's this one lyric in "You Might Think" where it's like, "You kept it going till the sun went down. You kept it going." And my dad bursts into the room and goes, "I heard that." He goes, "What do you think they're talking about? What do you think they're talking about?" I'm like, "I don't know what they're talking about.
Yeah.
I haven't really thought about it." He's like, "What do you think they're talking about? Think about it for a minute."
Now I'm thinking about it.
Now I'm
planted it, Dad.
Well, thanks for planting that seed. Yeah, but for the most part, my parents gave me a lot of latitude with my music and the music I listened to. John's parents sent him like those Christian videos that were like talking about the bands we listened to and how they were all satanic.
Bob Larson?
Maybe. I don't even know who was who.
Bill Gothard seminar where they're burning records and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, they specifically called out The Cure and Bauhaus and those, and we were just howling watching those. Yeah.
Do you remember, you guys, I don't know if you guys remember this. They used to make shirts like to mimic bands like Depressed Mode. Like they'd have these, and then The Cure as Jesus, or whatever. Like they'd make these T-shirts for all these bands.
That was a very Christian, 90s Christian thing, man.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah. What a subculture.
So how'd you guys end up on Flying Tart? And looking back, would you have chosen a different label?
That's rough.
And I know we're in the realm of like, everything happens for a reason and you look back, but, tell us about how that happened, first of all, because you weren't seeking that really.
No, we were showcasing and playing music conferences, rubbing shoulders with Oasis. It was crazy. And, major labels are coming out to see us, but they all were saying, we want to hear the next thing you do. And then Flying Tart came around and said, here's a 3-album deal. Do you want it? And we are like, no, but we'll do a 1 EP deal because that's what everybody was asking for. And they agreed to it. And we thought we'll put that out and shop that around and end up on one of the labels that have been coming out to scout us. And, I've been talking to our management, and that was our strategy. It just didn't work out that way, did it?
It sounds like a wise decision
It made sense, right, Pat?
I mean, because a lot of bands are like jumping on the 3-record deal, right? I mean, so I think it sounds like
locked in because we were
right.
We were ready to be locked in by somebody else, but not by Flying Tart. No offense to them, but and then it kind of went south. They went south, so it kind of broke us down in the end, and it's why we released Discovering the Julies. Is because we had nothing to sell anymore. We had no songs to give for people to take home from after our shows and hearing us play these songs. In the sense of like, would you do it again? What I realized is we play with a lot of bands that were on major labels that had 1 record and then they were done. And like that could have very well probably would have been our reality too. Only so many of those bands like ended up being able to build a following and grow. I don't know, like Ocean Blue was lucky to get a couple albums out of Sire, right? Like Sire is one of the ones that had contact with us. Like I just felt like looking back, and that's the dream label for a lot of alternative bands at the time.
Yeah, definitely.
But like there's only so much runway there for most bands, and we probably would have just been in the bins afterwards. I mean, not to knock ourselves, it's just that's the reality of the business at the time. And what being on Flying Tart, even though it broke us up and we didn't get to really enjoy the release of a record or tour it or, see people like singing along at shows without having memorized it from seeing it so many times. What it gave us was this weird cult following, which is why we're here talking today, why we've been able to reunite, why there is a reissue. It's like it sold a lot of units because of the Christian indie rock scene somehow that we were associated with. And those people, like, a lot of those people stayed with the band, even though we didn't stay with the band. It's an impossible like scenario. You can never like script it that way. But when I look back, I'm like, there's no way we'd be having the second act if we weren't on Flying fucking Tart Records. I'm sorry. That's just the reality. If we were on Sire, we would probably have one record.
Yeah.
It would have been in the used bins, and a handful of people would maybe remember us, right? Like maybe we would have been Riverside, which, you know, we were kind of friendly with them. They had this one epic record, then they got dropped, but people still stuck with them. Or we played with a band called Fossil. Like they had one album and it was in the used bins everywhere. We played with a band called the Caulfields, which like or an A&M or something. Had one record and there was in the used bins. And that's probably the path. I don't know.
Yeah. What was it like working with Bill Campbell of the Throws? And what did you gain from that experience? From, you know, his engineering and production, and you know, was a certain feel that you guys wanted to achieve with the EP, and how did he play into that?
Well, I think we should probably start about talking about what January felt like, right?
Sure. January was the EP before you made Lovelife, is that correct?
Yeah, it was a cassette.
Okay, let's talk. Yeah, let's talk about that. I got it on my list. Yeah.
Chris, why don't you tell us? I don't even know how we found this.
Well, tell us why you say we should start there. And then
He's right.
I mean,
because obviously.
So, to be honest, I'd never been in the studio before. I had no idea what I was going to do or what to do or, you know, how I should do things. But like, I knew what was happening was not awesome. I mean, so Chris, I mean, how did we
you need to expound, Pat.
So Matt Pinfield set up some shows for us. He was a DJ in New Jersey at the time and sort of a fringe MTV personality before I went to he and I became friends and I DJ'd with him a little bit and he set up some shows and he was slated to produce our demo. He ended up in rehab 2 weeks before we went in to record and he had made all the arrangements and we went into the studio owned and run by this guy named Dan Sky, who was an original member of Bon Jovi. But before they hit it big, he was like on a couple TV shows with them, but before they had like a major label deal, maybe. I can't remember the whole story. And we walk in without Matt, and it's Dan from Bon Jovi and his engineer and a bunch of guys who didn't know what the hell they were doing and just knew that they liked a lot of effects pedals. And it just became this sort of weird, like a Montessori gone wrong. It's like, it's all play-based. We're just fucking around, and it doesn't sound like anything. It was just cacophonous, right? And everybody's having fun, just twiddling knobs and lifting the levels up and whatnot.
To be fair, though, I think he was used to bands coming in who, you know, like
knew what they were doing.
Knew what they were doing.
Prepared, right? You knew what you're gonna do. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, it was a mess. Yeah. But yeah, Bill Campbell, an amazing experience. Like he was, I think, very, very. I mean, we slept on his floor. It's amazing. But like, you know, I brought in. I think a lot of us brought in like ideas about what we could do and how we could record, and it was very into like tape op. I don't know if you've read the things, the write up in the Lovelife thing. Like I was really into tape op, like in different, like where you could put different microphones and where you could, you know, different things you could do. And he was very, very thoughtful and helpful and accommodating for my little weird ideas. But it was great.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, you got a lot out of that, didn't you, Pat?
I did.
Yeah. One thing I remember is like we were known for being a live band, and even though I don't think he had seen us live, he knew that about us, and he wanted to capture that feel. So you know, we tracked a lot of things live, and then to Pat's point, like he had me record vocals in the bathroom because he and Pat were talking about these ideas. He's like, you know, I try this sometimes, it works. And literally, I think there may be even on one of the Wake Up Christine versions, I think there is a track, maybe it's even low in the mix, of someone peeing. All these little jokey things like that. I won't say who that someone is, but there was a vocal mic nearby, so you can do the math. But yeah, it was fun. He was a fun guy to just hang out with too at the time.
I mean, like even the screaming on the last track, like, you know, something that was, you know, really weird for like a Britpop band.
Yeah.
I thought that was very Sonic Youth-ish of to have something like that in there. I thought that was really cool. Yeah, and it was really interesting to have that on a, you know, something that was somewhat marketed to Christian, not to the Christian community, but it was, on that label. I don't think it was a Christian album at all.
No, I mean the songs were,
I mean,
except
which
for
was
the
maybe
Friday
why
and Faithless,
everybody liked it so much.
all the songs were we had for some time, and we just picked our strongest, our most favorite songs. We picked 5, and then we had 2 songs that we went in with for potential 6 song, and we played them live. One was called Roller Coaster, which I don't even remember. Do you remember that one that much, Pat? Very kind of like jangly and Smithy and churchy. And then Friday and Faithless, which didn't even have lyrics yet. And he heard us play that live, even though I say us, I mean the other 4, because I had nothing there yet. And he was just like, that's it. We're going to capture that energy. We're going to this is going to be like such a badass song. Made that decision for us.
Yeah, everything you said, I was thinking, listening to that album again, that EP, it does have a very live feel, or like, not necessarily live in concert feel, but like just a live feel, just to it and to the different songs. So
it's just a little bit raw, and it's got some of that energy that we played like we played them live. I sang like I was singing it live. It wasn't like, let's get into your this is for the album. Find that voice now. It's like, he had us kind of do what we did. And you'd think, the Throws, when you listen to the Throws, his band, you think he would have picked the jangly, churchy, REM-y, Smithy one, but he picked the cacophonous, Cure Meets Sonic Youth kind of song, So.
Yeah. They had a little bit of that on their stuff.
A big shout out. Like, he definitely found what was good for the record and really did a fantastic job, I think.
We'll get down to the lost mixes in a minute. But in the meantime, on Wake Up Christine, there's some guitar feedback at the beginning. Was that intentional? Was that a happy accident? Do you know what I'm talking about?
I do know what you're talking about. So that's, I guess, my weirdo lick. And both of us, I don't think, really knew how to control our pedals. So definitely happy accident.
Yeah, it's a Bob Ross happy accident.
Yeah. Again, like, to Chris's point, like, that entire record is about trying to capture what it feels like doing our thing live, right? So, we get on stage and I step on a pedal and it's going to feedback for 30 seconds and people are going to be upset, but we're going to go.
Yeah.
Some people.
And everybody loves it. It worked. Okay, so the lost mixes. Flying Tart wanted to have it, mixed differently.
Yeah, we mixed it with Bill, just the band and Bill, and that's what we thought the record was going to be. And then he got Dave Barbie from a band we love, Sugar. We were all into Sugar. That was like certainly a band we all agreed on.
Coming back too.
Yeah. I know.
Yep.
Get you guys there. Let's check that one out.
Bob Mould played close to me not too long ago by himself.
Oh, look at that.
I didn't go see him though.
Yeah, they're touring this year.
Yeah, he sent it to Dave to mix, and I don't know if we knew that he was going to do that, but I mean, obviously we were like, that's cool. But he went for an even rawer vibe on some of it. And I think we were just attached to what we did and felt like, why are you doing this? And so some of them came out kind of similar and others didn't. So the lost mixes are the 3 Dave Barbie songs so we negotiate with Flying Tart to do 3 of his and 3 of ours mixes. out of that 6. We did half and half because he left like almost all the backing vocals off the record for the most part, and some that were just like on Boy Wonder there was just like one vocal track and that was it, and just didn't feel right for what the vision for the song was, even though it's probably what people heard live and we were going for a live feel. He leaned into that harder than we and Bill did. Maybe too much so for our taste at the time. But, when I listen to it now, I think his Friday and Faithless mix is just killer. And I like, what were we thinking not putting that? Whatever. What can you do? Pat, what do you remember from that?
No, totally. Same thing. Like, I felt like he didn't get the shoegaze concept, but listening back, I love those remixes. Yeah. They're really good, especially like Chris, right? The Friday is so fun.
That one's a gem to me. I was like, man, if we could have just broken out of our self-absorption from all the work we put into our mix, or if we could have had like maybe a second round of mixing, like it was what it was, right. There was no go back and add the backing vocals. Like Alex Parker from the label paid Dave Barbie for his mixes, and they were what they were.
The Lovelife EP sometimes is a little reminiscent of the band James for me. Was that band one of your guys' influences, or did you like that band?
Not for me.
No, it's one of my favorite bands now, but I'll tell you, we got compared to them a lot. But I'm like them a lot.
An insult, right?
No, I love them now. They're one of my favorite bands. My wife and I just went and saw them in Brooklyn in September. We see them every time they come around. It's one of the best live shows. I mean, they're top 5 live bands for me, if not top 3 live bands for me of all time. But I don't know if I appreciated them. I listened to them back in those days, but that was like a Greg band. Greg was really into them, along with like the Trash Cans and House Martins. We were all into that stuff, but like wasn't the Vision. The Vision was like Arches of the Loaf meets The Cure meets Ride. Like,
it was on the Arches of the Loaf side.
But yeah, now I look back and I go, yeah, was it subconscious more? I don't know, because I love the band and I do hear it. But I'm a much bigger fan of the band now than I was in the '90s when they were having their heyday.
Definitely not an influence, but I, like Chris said, now I get it, and they're great. But at that point, not something I listen to.
I feel like James was one of those bands, unless you, like, if you just heard the stuff that everybody knew, I wasn't that plussed on some of, like, Laid and stuff like that. It was okay. But digging into their CDs, and I think my sister gave me a couple CDs of James. There were, like, early CD, releases from them, and I just dug into them, would have been the late 80s, probably.
They were really quirky as an 80s band. You know,
Yeah.
they started in '82 and they opened for the Smiths, and Smiths covered them. I mean, and a lot of the early stuff is just very like expressionist. Like people would compare early REM to late REM. You could say early James to late James. It's just like that sort of quirky, hard to decipher, abstract indie thing, and then it just got more and more refined and accessible and massive.
Mature.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess.
I mean, I'd say like the early '90s stuff
More
is
produced.
really
Yeah,
solid.
for sure.
Like Seven is a fantastic record. I like Leo
Yeah.
a lot.
So I found the Lovelife EP in a used CD store back in, it was probably 1996 or shortly thereafter. And I think it came out in 96, around about that, right? So I was really surprised. It was like one of those CD stores called CD Warehouse or something. And it was like, despite the name, it was like a little small, like a room full of CDs that were used and stuff. And so I vividly remember that day because I was really surprised to find it. And I think I got Coming Up by Suede, and I got Ned's Atomic Dustbin Brain Blood volume album on the same day. So I very vividly remember this day. But I remember being so surprised. And somehow I knew about the band, maybe because it was in maybe a magazine or something, maybe one of the Christian, like Harvest Rock Syndicate or True Tunes or something. I'd read some blurb. And so I was like, oh, I jumped on it. And then after that, I just didn't, the band disappeared, for me at least, and probably for many others. So, yeah. So maybe you're telling me something different based on our conversation so far, but at the time, I thought, well, they just disappeared and they just didn't get any distribution or promotion or anything. So I don't know if that was part of this at the end of Flying Tart and, when they ceased to exist, right? Because they got bought out by Light Records. So did that happen right after this EP came out?
So it took them, they started going bankrupt and the record came out over a year after it was finished. So we got stuck in this sort of purgatory. But it did come out. We had just broken up by then. And they definitely accelerated our breakup trajectory. Everything sort of hinged on that. And people had real jobs. Pat was playing with other artists and other bands. And we just didn't have anything to rally around. And so that sort of deflated everything. But when it did come out, it actually had insane distribution, no promotion, but it was no like press promotion. I think it ended up in the listening booths at those bookstores and stuff. And it got on some displays and it sold, like somebody saw this. They used to have something called SoundScan back in the day where you could check, if you had access to SoundScan, you could check how many units of records sold. And somebody I know was starting a label and they checked the Julie's record and it had he said, you sold well over 10,000 records. And we weren't even a band. And that was in the '90s, that's a lot for an indie band on an indie label. So it got out and people ended up buying it, which is why I think there's still this pocket of people that care today, because there was enough people that bought it that even a percentage of, 10 to 15,000 people is a decent chunk to reissue a record for, right? So there was distro. There's just no band.
We weren't touring it. There was no, thing to make it go.
So they didn't send you any money or anything. It was 10,000 sales.
We saw nothing. And whether we broke, we also negotiated a lower royalty rate to just be an EP and out. We weren't thinking about capitalizing on the release of that record. So, I'm not sure. I think there is some money somewhere that it made. I just don't even know how to get it. But it wasn't a lot.
I think you kind of answered this, in some ways. But so what do you feel causes this EP to resonate so much with fans, at the time and then still today? Because I think when you reissued it, there's a ton of people that jumped on Bandcamp and they have all these wonderful things to say, about that time. And, so what do you guys feel like was so, there was something special about the EP,
What they tell us, yeah.
What do you guys think was the reason? I know you've thrown out some reasons, but
Pat, you go first. I
Oh,
have a
jeez,
thought.
dude.
you guys want to talk. You don't want to talk about how special your record is, right?
Do you have a
I'll
thought,
tell
Pat?
you. I'll tell you a
I mean,
story.
you want us to hear us talk about it, right?
I'll tell you a story that my partner told me. So we had a record release party for Always and Always at our friend Alex's friend, my friend too. His place it's called West Art. It's in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. Amazing place. It's an old church converted, but when they were just starting, Josh let us use that space for our record release party. And we had people come from all over the country. It was nuts. And
Amazing.
she still tells me, she's like, there were men talking to you about this record that changed, not changed their life, but it was like a life moment for them.
Yeah.
And it was so touching and so amazing. And, I don't know what it is. People found this record. And it meant something to them at that time, and it brought them together. And it brought them to Lancaster, Pennsylvania, and a couple of years ago to come celebrate together and spend some time with us. And it still makes me feel amazing to think about that.
When we broke up, my parents were getting calls looking for the band at their house. People were trying to track us down to find out what happened to us. It's hard to understand, exactly why we resonated, with one release. Maybe it's because it was one release and it was liked or loved enough to want more. Maybe it is that classic leave them wanting more sort of, philosophy that incidental in this case, but nonetheless true, that helped create that sort of belovedness. I also think that just because we were in the circles we ran, we were a cool band and people really were struck by us sonically and stuff. But I think in the Christian indie rock world, there were some bands that sort of, sounded a little bit like Catherine Wheel, or a band that sounded a little bit like Depeche Mode, or a band that sounded like, there were bands that did that. But I don't think they were used to the weird concoction or amalgamation of influences that we were. We were influenced by 80s alternative. We were influenced by bands like Pavement and Archers of Loaf. And then we were influenced by Britpop, and we're influenced by shoegaze and that sort of second wave of post-punk that's sort of shoegazy. And we didn't try to exist in any one of those worlds. We just brought it all together. And then you put that into a market the church, which we had no intention of our records going there first. And it's not the only place they landed, but it's the place where the people have been influenced or impacted the most by the record is people from that world. And I just think it's because they weren't listening to the other stuff that we were all listening to because they weren't maybe allowed to, or they, what have you. And so it came to their ears as such a magical foreign thing, and not to pat ourselves on the back because it's just, I think it's a bit happenstance. It's that our sound in that space just sounded so unique, where our sound in the space that we ran in was unique, but not that unique. There were other bands that were a lot like us. If you listen to Adorable from, the UK in the 90s, you probably were like, yeah, they sound a lot alike. Maybe that's an American version of Adorable, right? You could have done the math a little bit more, but in that space, and that I think it's because Christians and because of maybe a sheltered upbringing even, and a sort of, this was the gateway to people understanding who they were, this finding music that wasn't just worship music or praise music or Michael W. Smith or whatever the other names were at the time. Evie, Sandy Patty, trying to think of what I know. Petra. Garmo Key. I know a few.
Garmo Key.
I think it might have just been a little bit of magic for them, a magical time in their lives where they are figuring out who the hell they are. And here comes this band that helps them sort of define that a little bit, if only in this, this is the kind of music I like. Yeah. A long monologue, but that was a provocative question.
No, that's great.
Yeah, great question and great answer.
Yeah. You kind of talked about you guys broke up before the EP even came out. So what happened with the breakup? I know some of the members carry on as a band called Riviera.
Yeah.
So what was going on with that? And, was that just, kind of you did that for a while and then you just kind of moved on with life?
The Julies without Pat and with my roommate subbing in, but we had sort of had an unspoken pact that if it weren't the five of us, it weren't the Julies. Ironically, we're three of us now. So we've abandoned that pact. but it was unspoken. So we did that because I think we all still wanted to play music, and then at that time we were still playing like these like Scott Hatch had the Burnt Toast thing going on, and he was throwing shows at Drexel, and that extended to like this place called Java Casa, and then we still played like in Philly and New York, but. I guess it was us holding on a little bit more. Pat went on to pursue like more like not an act two, but he was finding new act ones, which I'll let him speak to.
I don't know what that means, Chris, but
No.
I moved to Philadelphia, and being in the city, just being around like really cool different things. Like Ink and Dagger just played in Philly at the church, but those were my friends. Like it was very different than what Julie's were doing, right? So I was exposed to a bunch of different things and started playing with a bunch of different people. Joined a band that ended up playing with one of the guys that's in Fleet Foxes now. So that was fun. And then we kind of found our way back together, I guess. Like, again, like being exposed to all the different things and seeing that our record was going nowhere was really tough.
Yeah. So you guys kept in contact, at least some of you, right, throughout the years?
Yeah. I mean, it's funny because Pat's probably the one that we were least in contact with. His life.
He left you guys,
I did. Thanks, James.
I'm just kidding.
It's yeah, I mean,
well, it was probably a pretty difficult thing to go through, first of all, right? Like,
I mean,
that
for me,
process.
not for everybody else. I think everybody else moved on. I like John, Greg, and Alex were all married. Pat went on and played with other bands and then started like pursuing a career. I invested all my emotional capital into the Julies. And then, well, I think I probably subconsciously knew Riviera was just holding on to sort of like a prolonged adolescence and the dream of making art like that. I needed that, I think, as a sort of like a decompression chamber to just be able to settle into real life from that. I just banked everything on this is my identity. This is what all I want to do. This is what I think about day and night, just making music. And so, yeah, I eventually joined everyone else. I figured out what to do with my life. I eventually got married much later in life and started a family. But we all kept in touch in those terms mostly. And then, Greg didn't live, he lived in New Jersey for a long time. So he and I would see each other for a while. He ended up moving to Seattle. John and I were best friends in college. We kept in, touch for a long time and would hang out for a while and see shows. But yeah, Alex and Pat and I are the ones that crossed the finish line together in the end. I think just by virtue of what this was going to be in this like second act, we were just aligned, I think, philosophically on what this was and would.
How big a part did the Lost in Ohio reissue of Lovelife? How big a part did that play for you moving forward and making Always and Always, or was that already happening before that?
Chris, I think you might have to weigh in on here. I don't remember the timing and when we started kind of sharing things.
It was after, yeah.
Was it after? Okay.
Yeah.
The reissue was after?
The reissue came first.
Okay.
And it was a pandemic when it was all getting put together. And Pat mentioned he was writing some songs, and I was like, I would love to write those songs with you. We asked Alex, he was like a big maybe.
He was actually the hardest one, I think.
Yeah. Greg was in, John was not. John was a hard no. Greg was yeah, let's do it. And then Alex came along. But Pat, in that process of reuniting, like for us, like I think with Pat, a lot of it was, we've had minimal contact through the years. And so this opportunity was a chance to really reconnect at a more substantive level. And, he sent me a couple demos and it was just like, wow, this is like, I was flashing back. And I was so excited to do something. If only, sort of screwing around, it would have been cool to just do that.
Yeah.
It just kept growing from us sort of sending each other tracks and refining them, perfecting them. It started turning into a thing. And then Lost in Ohio was like, yeah, we'll put out whatever you guys do. So then we're just like, okay, we have a goal.
Hey, we'll do it. Yeah. The name Kyle Pulley. So that's kind of everywhere on the notes and stuff. So tell me about Kyle and what he brings.
Pat, you can take that
one. I mean, you found Kyle.
I found Kyle. Yes. We were looking for a producer in a studio. That's how we wanted to do our first, coming back after all this time, we were just like, let's go into a studio and make a record, right? That's all we knew how to do. Well, we didn't know how to do that. But that's the only way we did it. And it just made sense. And Pat was like, that's the way we need to do this. So I went and looked for a bunch of options and I found Kyle, and he was just like, there's an immediate clicking with him in terms of like his studio, him as an engineer, the correspondence, the communication. He was just thoughtful and he was getting it, an easy dude to hang with. And then we ended up, in a space with him. He was engineering. He ended up being sort of a co-producer. He just had a lot of big ideas and thoughts, very collaborative. Pat, you talked to Kyle just the other day.
Yeah, I mean, Chris, you brought Kyle in, and I was like, geez, like, he's a Philly guy, like we're all Philly guys. And I talked to the guys that I know. We recorded at Minor Street with my other band. And then like they knew Kyle and knew how great he was. And we just had such an amazing interaction with him. Like the studio is just amazing. It wasn't, I mean, it's no longer there. I guess they've moved now into the
Dr. Dog studio.
The Dr. Dog studio in Derby. But like the studio was just amazing. So many great options for us as a band that really wrote a record by sending tapes back logic files back and forth to each other, right? Like,
yeah.
Now we have to, how do we make that sound,
You're right.
with amps and stuff, because
he has so many ideas and thoughts on
the drums, like what do we do with drums, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
He was in a band called Thin Lips, which had some touring power and is fairly well known in a lot of circles. And even though, stylistically pretty far removed from what we were doing, he gets you pretty quickly sonically and vision wise. More than anybody we ever worked with, he got into the lyrics, and he had a million questions and a million ideas. It was great. But he also had he's laughing already, picturing me in that vocal booth, like, man, a million takes.
He worked you, man.
He worked like it was our first time singing for real outside of like writing songs with a couple songwriting partners that they were going to sing ultimately. I mentioned writing with Ian McGlynn, and I wrote a little bit with this another Ian from Ulster United, and it's just like words or just doing some singing and letting them do it. But having to sing for real for the first time in like over 20 something years, my voice changed. Some skills went up, some disappeared. I'm not a natural singer, so it's not like just blah, blah, blah. I had to kind of like I'm finding now every time I do this, I'm having to sort of re-understand who I am as a vocalist. But Kyle, like, he gave me a boot camp on it, which was hard but helpful. And he just knew what he was doing. So I felt like, as embarrassing as it was at times, as hard as it was at times, as uncertain as it was at times, like I felt like I was, in the hands of God, like with those hands of Kyle's. Like I was like, this is going to be okay in the end, because he gets it and he knows what he's getting out of this. Yeah.
I think he was working on God Saves the Animals, the Alex G record, at the same time he was working on our record. So like I was just blown away about what he could do with just sonically.
Nice.
Yeah, he had a lot of cool people come in.
Yeah.
So he brought a lot of that to us, that experience.
I've got a couple questions.
He plays bass on it a bit too.
I saw that. Yeah. I guess wherever he can get in there, right?
We were like
lend to the sound, and
we definitely kept our doors open a lot wider than our earlier iteration of the Julias. Like Alex's son Keaton is all over our records. He does a lot of drum programming and some synth stuff. Brings a lot to it. We had one of the drummers Kyle uses drummed on half the Always record. Our friend Ian McGlynn plays synths all over it and keys. So definitely like made it a collaborative experience to fill in the gaps for ourselves as a three-piece.
Yeah. I had a couple questions about the album cover. Okay. So
I know where this is going.
Was there a different album cover in the beginning?
Oh, wait, for Lovelife or for Always and Always?
For Always and Always.
No.
Okay. I read something. I'm like, I don't think that's true. It was something about a asymmetrical drawing of a girl or something. And I was like, I've never seen that anywhere. So I don't know where. Okay.
Reference to.
That's what the internet gives you. Okay. So more importantly, the album cover, you mentioned Power, Corruption, and Lies earlier. And
I know where this is going.
And so when I saw it at first, I was like, that looks a lot like the album cover of Power, Corruption, and Lies. The painting on that album, it's like a basket of roses, I think is what it's called, the painting on that album. And like yours is a photo, maybe. I don't remember, but
it's a photo, yeah.
But it's It's a like a more controlled version of Power, Corruption, and Lies cover, but I thought that was interesting, and I didn't know, and it was same kind of color scheme and everything, so I thought that was really cool. I didn't know if that was intentional or not, if that was just I saw it, because
it's not unintentional, I'll be honest.
because I love that album. But
yeah, I mean, it's one of my favorite album covers, and I think the New Order cover art is, just some of my favorite period. Peter Saville does a lot of it, and or did. I'd say even the Summermouth cover art for the single is based on a New Order poster. I'll be confessional here. I have thoughts or ideas, and I have a friend who's been a very, generous collaborator for the band, and her name is Sarah. She goes by Sarah Fuchsia. So I found that photo in her archives, and it just struck me. She took that photo at an event. It was a centerpiece, and she just sort of set it up as a photo, put it on social, and I saved it, thinking like, hey, this would be a good cover art for somebody someday. So when we were making the record, I went back and looked at some of the art I had saved, and that just struck me. And I knew it was a sort of a nod to Power, Corruption, and Lies because, oh my gosh, it's one of the first records I bought, as referenced here earlier, and it's an iconic cover. So there's an homage element to it, but it's also very different aesthetically, even though it's so similar, right? There's a different
yes, exactly.
It's a different feeling you get from it. It's a photograph. It's darker. The colors, the pinks just pop against that dark background, and it's definitely a still life photo versus a still life painting, and you feel that difference. And we're a band definitely that talks about our influences, right? We're really, frankly, nothing without them. As much as Lovelife felt very special because it's this amalgam of those influences. We are very referential, not ashamed of that. And I'm a fanboy. So I'm going to use this to geek out a little bit. Some of the lyrics were very referential. It gets more referential as the new stuff starts coming out. That's part of the fun of doing this stuff, I think, sometimes. It's like paying those homages. I think, you could listen always, and immediately get that Every Day is like Doomsday.
Right.
It's a Moxie version of Every Day is like Sunday. It's like it's an homage and a twist, right? And that's what the cover art was too, to some degree.
Well, and it kind of makes the listener feel like you're in a club, like, oh, I know what you're doing. I know what you're talking about there. I know what you're doing there.
We have a smaller audience too, so it's like Easter eggs are fun for them. Like they kind of get it. So
yeah. Exactly.
There's more of them to get it. The higher percentage of people get it with a tighter audience. That we're not playing to hundreds of thousands. We don't have hundreds of thousands of streams. We've just had our first Spotify song hit 10,000. So yeah, it's probably a savvy crowd. So for more than that.
So Jim, I stole one of your questions.
I know.
Oh, man, you gotta take that. Still his.
Sorry, I'm busy
What was
texting.
the question that he stole?
You're probably texting me. Are you texting someone else?
No.
Are you on the show or not? I'm just kidding.
Steven.
Jim and I always rib Jim, so that's part of our shtick, right, Jim?
Yeah, it's our shtick.
Jim's like, yeah, right. But so I'm going to give you the next one. We're going to jump around here.
Thank you.
How about you had a question about the track Heaven is My Dance Floor. You had a question about that, I think.
Yeah, it's
is that
a pretty
right?
serious one. I'm trying to find it now.
Number 24 on your list.
Oh, thank you. Yes. Yeah. Do you think Heaven has a dance floor? What genre may be played at that dance hall? Go ahead.
Well, yeah. So I wrote that. So I should probably answer that. So obviously, this is a bit of a metaphorical air there. But I'm going to go with a metaphorical answer. Yes. Hell yeah. And I do think the genre it plays is the genre that you fell in love with, and
perfect.
And that is my idea of my earthbound idea of heaven. I think of my wedding night, and we had just a badass dance floor, and it was all a lot of those 80s all bangers and indie hits, and everybody's singing at the top of their lungs and hugging each other, whether it was New Order or Pulp or Cure, and that to me felt like the communal moment I'm looking forward to if there is a heaven. I'm hoping. I don't want to get into the theology of the song and the theology in general. Just kind of keeping it loose. But yeah, why wouldn't heaven be a dance floor? Come on.
Why not?
You don't want to just be sitting on a cloud, because I think your lyric referenced that, something like that.
Yeah, right. There's all these conceptions, whether they are from, cartoons you grew up with or, pastors you've heard or been forced to hear, whatever. Like there are all these very lily white ideas of heaven, and they are fairly, they're somewhat dogmatic. They're sort of also like negotiated by people's existing worldviews. They're not exactly ripped right from the Bible or from the original text of, the scriptures, and then how much do you want to get into what parts of the Bible have been there for how long? Like, without getting into all that, there's a lot of opinions that I grew up with on what heaven is and how heaven is, and I'm still hearing them today, maybe more than ever. And how do you not react to that once you have, sort of recalibrated your own mind and your own beliefs? So I'm not saying I don't believe it. I'm not saying I do. I kind of do, but I kind of not in the way I grew up.
Where you're committed. You're committed. Let's hear Patrick.
What's your thoughts, Patrick?
I mean, dance floor sounds much better than like streets of gold in some fucking mansion.
Jewels in your crown, Patrick. Right. Come on.
I hope I see my dog.
Well, that's it, though, Pat. That's exactly it. It's like you grow up, like if you've been in church, you grew up with these, whatever era of church, or you guys might still be going to church. I have not gone in a while, but like the praise and worship songs, etc., they drum these images into your head that, like, I don't know if I get as much out of those songs as I do out of a Cocteau Twins record. So, I feel a little closer to God, I think, when I listen to Cocteau Twins than I do like a typical church praise and worship song with these sort of prefabricated imagery and lyrics. So I kind of just appropriating it and reinterpreting it for myself and for whoever might resonate with that.
I will 100% steal those chords, though, because that shit.
Yeah, right.
I mean, Sufjan Stevens that's what it is, baby.
Jim, you got another one?
Yeah, sure. How about
I got
29?
lots, so go for it, man.
All right.
It's your time to shine, Jim.
Thank you. Can you tell me about the song Black Metal? What's the background to this song and reason for the name?
Well, Pat, you give the background. I'll go into the name and lyrics after.
Yeah, Black Metal's like an always, I guess, B-side, if you will. It's a song that, or like an idea, I guess, for Always and Always, Alex and I just traded. So I don't know if you know the background, but we wrote the record and this record too, the new record, like just by ourselves, in our own rooms, just, on Logic, sending stuff to each other. So this is one that I wrote and Alex played on, but then we kind of left it on the floor for a while. And then I think Keaton kind of took it and put a drum beat to it and chopped it up. So it's very chopped and very different. And we added a new bass line to it. But it was an idea that ended up being a song that we wanted to make it into a single.
Talking to my baby like a black metal lyricist, screaming at the gods again, screaming at the gods again, screaming at the
And then Chris, of course, loved it and wanted to do some vocals and I guess you had an idea for vocals from the beginning, but turned it into a song.
I had a melody from the beginning. Black metal, I kind of came later, finishing it after Keith chopped it. But I think, it was one of those demos that, with a little bit more time might have ended up on Always and Always, but we didn't crack the code on that song until Keaton spent some time with it. Again, Keaton helps, he comes in sort of midway or towards the end of our songs, and sometimes he'll help with drum tracks or he'll have some synth ideas. Alex will spend some time doing that. But for me, like black metal, it's just, we wrote a lot of that record during the pandemic. Wherever you are politically as hosts or as listeners, I think the Trump era is just a very different time. And my personal reaction to that is more of the doom scrolling and the holy shit. That's just my natural gut reaction to everything, and keeping it really light and simple. And I was a lot of my lyrics that made the record didn't make the record just a reaction to the times we're living in. So some of that is representative in that song. I certainly took that opportunity, but I had that lyric that was like, sometimes life just hits you like a black metal lyric sheet. And I just had that. And it was one of the few times where it's like, I'm kind of a fan of that line. Like, I don't usually feel like I like necessarily what I write. Like, it's not like I don't think about it like that. I was like seeing that like fresh on my notes. I was like Morrissey, that's like, Morrissey could have written that. Maybe not. All right. Maybe I'm straight. But maybe recent Morrissey. I'm not comparing myself to prime Morrissey. Has been Morrissey. I can maybe hit that bar a little bit.
Do you get tired really quickly now?
Yeah, yes. Tired right now. For me, it was like that lyric just stuck out, and I was going through some of that doom scroll, apocalyptic time stuff, but I was also just going through a shit ton with my job at the time. Literally, there's a line about a boss being a narcissist, and I had an extreme case of narcissistic personality in my boss, who was the CEO of this company I was working for. And if you're listening now, for you, dude. He made it into my song.
You should be thanking him for the song.
Right, it's inspiration.
But he was like making my life miserable, and it was already struggling.
Just call him
political landscape
over this phone.
We got him on the phone right now.
Yeah, let's cue it up.
Oh, Maury Povich.
Fuck you, sir. Listen to this.
I was already dealing with the socio-political times and having a lot of stress over that, and then my boss just what a personality, just a lot to deal with, and it just helped define the song. It just helped me go, sometimes it just made sense, and using black metal, as a sort of metaphor. I mean, it's a lovely genre. We have a lot of fans. You could see when they buy on Bandcamp what else they're listening to. And sometimes I'll just stumble into that. I'm like, man, we got a lot of fans that just buy a shit ton of black metal. But for me, it's just like a black metal lyric sheet. And I actually, in writing the song, I went and just Googled a shit ton of black metal lyrics, and it's just like this. Yeah, obviously, right? Like it's a lot of really dark dystopian like expressions, and it's like a lot of like shouting at God or whoever, and it's just a lot of like intense existential complaints and laments. And that's what makes it so cool a lot of times. And that's what this song was sort of like. It was living in and parodying at the same time to some degree. Is that a long answer? It feels like a long answer.
That was a good answer.
Right?
I like that.
It's a good answer.
So black metal as our metaphor on this one. Yeah.
Yeah, see, I told Jim, maybe they're, paying homage to Black Metallic, that
Oh,
song.
good call. I mean, it's a favorite.
But I was like, the lyrics have nothing to do with that, but
Yeah, I love that song.
yeah, we all love that.
great song.
They're also top live bands ever. Catherine Wheel up there with James for sure. For me.
Love them.
I'm a bigger fan of his brother's band.
Closer to black. It's cousin.
Oh, was it cousin? I thought it was
Cousins.
brother. Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
cousin.
I knew they were related.
Yeah.
Yes.
You used to be, right, Jim?
Oh yeah.
You were a huge fan, right, when you were young?
I still love Iron Maiden. They're
That's
always
Okay.
they're
That's a
great.
duo project that needs to
I'll
happen.
allow it. I'll allow it, Jim, I guess.
Especially the 80s era is great.
Yeah, they need to just make one song together.
Oh, that'd be
How cool
awesome.
would
Yeah.
It's too bad Alex isn't here.
that be? Right?
It would it would be happening. Yeah, let's do it. So I have a question. Like, I'm jumping around now because we're winding down.
We
I
don't
wanna
know
make
if you're
sure
jumping around or not. You're good.
Yeah, hey, this one might be for Pat, maybe. The weights.
The weight of the hand.
Yes, the weight of your hand. Thank you. I'm looking for it, my question, but I think I'll just remember the question. In that song, what is the guitar effect that's on the chorus of that song? It's like a really unique guitar effect that I've heard several different other bands use before. I don't know how to describe it even.
We'll get it right. We'll get it wrong. Our time's too short and our days too long. But when I feel your fingers in my palm, I wanna squeeze away the guns and the bombs. Instantly, I know the weight of your hand. That's how I know I'm a family man. Now here we lay just
What is that? Do you know?
I think it's definitely like a, what's it called? It's not a chorus, but it's
Modulation.
a modulation. Yeah. Thank you for that. I think it's just like a weird modulation that we used. Trying to think of what it was. I don't have a good answer for you.
It's
Sorry.
because some of that was we went from demo to Kyle, and whatever you and Alex and Kyle came up with, like
I think we kept
very
what
ephemeral at the moment.
kept what was on the demo, which was our favorite. And that's normally what we do. Like guitar wise, we'll try and emulate what we did on our demo. And if we can't emulate it, we'll just keep the demo track. So I'm not sure whether we actually did that on this
You
case.
use plugins on the demo and then maybe live amps when you do it studio.
Yeah, but sometimes the live amps don't work and we'll just use the plugins.
Right. Sure. Whatever sounds better, right?
Yeah, so it's a weird modulation. Yeah, thanks for
Cool.
That's cool.
Yeah. The song Symmetry that starts off Always and Always album. As usual, I'm pulling my own interpretations from all these songs, like as it should be, right? We talk about that a lot on the podcast, but I just really think it's really cool. And I really love the type of lyrics that are kind of like sort of counterintuitive in some ways. And this song kind of represents like that type of thinking, It's just such a stark contrast. The unsymmetrical aspect of life kind of highlights the joy of life. You know, the little things that bring you joy in life. So anyway, that's what I got from it. That's more of a comment than a question, I guess. You can expound on that.
Yeah, I mean,
please do, or say what the hell are you fucking talking about? Like,
I mean, so much of the record is super personal and super reflective of the time I was writing it in. But Symmetry is a song I had written lyrically in Notebook that for another artist, and we never used it, and I just pulled it out. And mostly because I was struggling to what to do with Symmetry. It was this beautiful soundscape and so cathartic, and I didn't want to like sing a big song over it. I was trying to find the groove for myself, and I knew it was the opener. Like so Pat wrote that demo originally too, and then Alex built on it, and I had this palette, and I knew like this is the opener, and I knew also I wanted to write like a universal song to start the record, and I do that again on the record to be the record that's coming out, which. Yeah,
that was one of the questions.
You only have 9 minutes.
You're
getting ahead of us, but we have to because we're short on time.
All good. Yeah, so I love a record that just starts off like pulling the listener in, like we're all in this together kind of vibe. And I was using Symmetry as a sort of vehicle to do that, where I grew up falling for music that was outsider music, made usually by outsiders. No matter how famous those outsiders got, they were outsiders. I think of a band like Pulp, too, like, they had a song called Misfits. They reveled in the fact that they were the outsider, and they pulled to their bosom all the other outsiders. The Smiths with Morrissey, that was his MO from the beginning, right? Like, I'm going to make an army of outsiders. But there's this universal communal vibe in that. And so we're an outsider band. Like, my mom doesn't play us and go, hey, you should be big. She's like, she knows that we're a small, like, we're only going to appeal to so many people, right? We're not, we're not.
Even the bands that are well known in this genres don't appeal to a lot of people.
My mom might be the best example of a person, but like somebody at my work, right?
Yeah.
Who's dissecting the Taylor Swift lyrics, as they should. But that said, like Taylor Swift is going to appeal to billions of people. We're not going to appeal to billions of people, and I know that. So I love writing a song, especially to start an album, that's a bit of a rallying cry to the outsider. And to me, it's taking the idea of symmetry and perfection and like being on the outside of that, and asking us all to sort of unite in that, right? Like we're all over here together. And that sets the tone for the record. If you're listening, like even if maybe subconsciously, if you're not a lyric person, maybe that seeps in at some level. Like you feel like you're invited, you feel like you're part of a community as we're starting off, right? That's the idea. It's sort of why that song at the very least.
Hearts and broken dreams. Symmetry isn't
to the point of like not having explicit meanings all the time, or at least not unpacking every song with the exact intentions. Like I again, like my favorite lyricists growing up were like, were very cryptic, right? Like you listen to Psychedelic Furs with Richard Butler or Ian McCulloch, especially in those early to middle days. Like you didn't know what the hell the song was really about, but you got it somehow, right? You felt it, and that's the idea.
Also, that song is asymmetrical, so
Yeah.
count along if you dare.
The guitarist got that before the singer writing the lyrics, though. I didn't even think until they pointed that out.
Cool. So is the song Angels of the Underground, is that a tribute song of sorts?
Yeah, it's my
From the heaven of a bedroom wall, right?
Yep, it's
That's
my
cool.
rebel ring. It's it's my ode to the songs that made you who you are, that you might have forgotten or you're still holding on to. Like Morrissey saying, "Don't forget the songs that made you cry and the songs that saved your life." Right, and that has been something, especially with the band reuniting, that has been when I'm not giving into the temptation to write socio-political songs, which music is, I think, naturally socio-political. And some of my favorite bands lean into that hard, like the Clash, etc. But the Julies, we did try to not occupy that space so explicitly. So other themes I look for other themes to sort of complement that, or to wean me off doing that at scale. So one of those themes that I just, and it comes with, being in a band for so long, or being in music for so long, being a fan for so long, and being of a certain age too. And the podcast is probably very much this for you guys, like an expression of this. It's just like that mattered. Those songs, that scene, dancing in clubs at 2 a.m. to people belting out lyrics that only so many people in the world know, but everybody in this room seems to know inside and out together. That matters. Like the fact that we all come from a lot of us come from a generation where we have posters on our wall, heaven of a bedroom wall. Like that is, I'm exploring, like a lot of people that hit a certain point in their life, I'm exploring who I was, what I carried from that time where I became me. What are those things that are still part of me from those times? I always tell Pat and Alex, like, they give me such like beautiful canvases to be able to sort of like unpack that for myself. And so that's a theme I return to, as much as our current dystopia and doom scrolling pops into my lyrics. So does, revisiting a time where music mattered to us. And for those of us that it still really matters to, I am holding the torch, as Morrissey says.
Yeah, absolutely. Jim,
Yes.
question about Summermouth.
Yeah. What is the process you went through to write Summermouth? Such a good song, period. Go ahead.
You could have just said such a good song, period, and I would have felt very content
there were
with that.
there's some lyrics
couldn't have said
after
it better.
that, but
Yeah.
Couldn't have said it better, Jim.
I mean,
I'm a professional. All right.
I fucking love this song, and I'm so excited. I mean, this is the beginning of the singles for this record. So
Yeah, nice.
the other two songs are, I don't know if we can say this out loud, but the other two songs are not going to be on the record. The other two,
Heartbreak
and
Black Metal or not.
and Black Metal.
Okay.
But this is the beginning, right, of this record, and it's amazing. Like the emotion of this record and the feeling of it, and I love Summermouth and the way that we did it. So Alex, I know for sure has been more of the driving force musically for this record for a bunch of reasons that we can talk about. But this song for me was just like an entrance back in songwriting for the Julies.
Got you excited.
Sorry.
Got you excited again to
For sure.
get back into it.
It's definitely one of those songs where we all felt there was something special in it. Like, we all felt moved by this song, almost as if we were fans, not the creators.
Right.
Where we were moved, and a few people I think that we have shared some of the music with have felt this similarly with this song, where even though it's like, my wife loves this song, like, and is moved by this song, and for me it's like probably the most truest Julie song, period, let alone of this iteration of the Julies, this later iteration. And it's just the emotion of it, the catharsis in it, the urgency. It's got so many of those like benchmarks of what makes a song special for us. But and then it's also one of those for me that was like, again, what I just said earlier about how Alex and Pat deliver these canvases to me, this is that. And I was going through something personally, a loss in my life where I needed this song to be able to express some of the things or to emote some of the things, even if not to express it. I could always write that down, but can I also get it out? So like I'm singing on the verge of tears. Like it was a really cathartic experience. Like this is one of those few songs where you hear people talk about it where like I'm tearing up while I'm singing it in the studio. It's like it's that important to my life, and it expresses my experience and love for and the missing of someone special in my life. And that's, a lot of songs that we all love and listen to do that. And we've got one of those, or we got two of those now, but this is clearly one of those. It was a special song from the start, but I knew it had to be, like, for me, an important song too.
Yeah, it sounds really strange to say, like, we're a mature band as we're all 50, right? 50 plus. But, like, this record for me felt like a very mature process, right? Like, the way that we did it, the way that we felt about it, like, even that song specifically, anything we added to Alex's demo felt emotionally important. Like, there were times when we said no to things and we just made this song and made this record, like, intentionally mature for the first time, as opposed to, like, here's a cool riff,
Right.
Yeah.
There's a process in the sharing of demos where, especially as the singer who doesn't play an instrument on any of these, Alex or Pat, in this case, it was Alex, sends a demo. You like, holy shit, Christmas morning, this is the best present I've ever got. And then there's like there's a second wave of it, like as if Christmas comes again a week later. And that's like when Pat adds some parts to it, and he adds this cathartic shoegazy swell in the last, what is kind of like a verse but not. It's like an outro verse, and then you hear that, and you were all texting with each other, right? It's just like you just know that this song, when something like that is added to something you already love, it defines what I'm going to do to this song that much more. Pat has just asked me to up the ante. Pat has just asked me to sort of like look at my lyrics and go, whoa, what's going to change here? Like it's a really like synergistic, symbiotic experience, even though we're not even in the same room. It's really bizarre and awesome somehow. And we're a band that literally every song we wrote in those heyday days, we wrote together in a storage unit or a basement or a rehearsal space at a university. And that is such a different process, but man, it just, it definitely does trigger a reaction and a challenge in a way that you would think would only be like in a live setting that, you're jamming out a track.
It feels like there's something mystical going on with this. Yeah. I mean,
this one,
it's not just you guys. Maybe because of everything you said, but I know Jim and I love that
Been
track.
going back and forth about it. Yeah,
And I've seen a bunch of posts from other people that are, feeling that too. So, it came through, in that track. So, and it sounds like, from what you're saying, Pat, it's, the rest of the album is going to be just as special,
That's what
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
No, please go ahead.
I was just saying that's what I was texting about earlier.
What?
I mean, for me, this was a really difficult record. Like I'll tell you honestly, like I went through a divorce. I'm starting new relationships. Both of my kids are out of the house, like as an old man, it's weird. It's a weird time in my life. And this was a very emotionally challenging record, and something like Chris said, like I needed this to get those things out and to be able to like reconcile what was happening in my life. But yeah, I'm super proud of what this is and what it ended up being. The mixing process was insanely bonkers. I don't know, Chris can probably talk to it. Like getting the mixes back and hearing them and just being like, holy fuck. Like that sounds insane, because we already had our ideas, right? Like it was already ready. And they were songs and they were done, and then hearing them back and being like, wow, that's even better. Crazy.
Wow. That's cool.
Yeah. As a maker of music, hearing your track come back, like listener friendly, if you will, having a vision for it, but not really knowing how it's going to sound when you give it to a third party and it comes back. It was like that.
Yeah, they could destroy it too.
Yeah. Well, that's clearly, of course, we've been lucky to use different collaborators in this last go around. From Always and Always to the two singles we did with our friend Joey Joseph, mixed them, and then this is mix engineer named James Aparicio, who's in London, and he's worked with a lot of shoegaze bands, but he's also he's been an assistant engineer for like Depeche Mode and Nick Cave, Mogwai, like a lot of bands like we're a fan of. And just having someone like that and he gets the genre too. It was great, like with Kyle, like this was probably a genre he doesn't usually mix, but he brought so much thoughtfulness to it, and hearing all, and then we had like so many different tracks. There was like hearing how it came back and where things sat was so amazing, and hearing the polish on that, especially like Lovelife being so raw, but hearing that polish, and then working with Joey like in a really collaborative way for those two singles, which were kind of like just recorded really quickly, and having him kind of like try to get them up to a level where people were gonna like appreciate them, and then working with James on this and getting these mixes back and going, holy shit, this sounds like, and then having my wife say holy shit to the
there you go. I mean,
I don't know if you guys
that's good. Yeah,
right.
She has a lot of overlapping taste.
You probably do a double take. Wait, what?
Yeah. So her effusiveness over like the way these songs sounded was like, holy cow, maybe we're onto something here. Like, yeah.
Nice.
And Summermouth, by the way, was probably not the most obvious first single. Just, I think the love for the song made it such. So speaking specifically about that one, is just like we just all felt adamant about like, this is the way we're going in on this one. We're going with the one that we all universally love, the one that feels super special to us. And that's how we're going to start this thing.
It's tough because there's so many other ones too.
Oh, boy.
We like to write singles somehow, I guess. Like you either look at a band like us and go, they can't write a damn single, or you take the other view, like every song's a single. So it depends probably on your taste. But we feel like any of these songs can be a single. Like, how do we pick?
Yeah, it's a record.
That's a good thing.
Yeah, we feel so.
Yeah, I wasn't sure what you guys were doing, if you were going to continue to just do singles or if you were working towards, an actual album. But
we had enough stragglers from the Always and Always sessions that, we wanted. Two were like already kind of further along, like Heartbreak Life and Black Metal. They were just barely recorded, like they were almost done. Their demos were like practically finished tracks by the time. So it was just like perfecting them and then putting vocals on them. So it was like, let's just do them. Let's do them while we're figuring things out. And that was the idea there. It's just, why not? It's a streaming world where people mainly listen to songs. You can drop some singles, and also too, like, the 80s were that era too in a different way. Like the Smiths just dropped singles constantly, right? Like I listened to Louder Than Bombs and I was introduced to that as an album, but most of the UK and Europe were introduced to those songs as, individual 45s. So,
Can we talk about the record, Chris?
I was going to ask you, what can you tell us?
We're not supposed to say the name of it or too much. Bill at the label, I think, wants a little veil of mystery.
And leave the timeline as also shrouded
I
a
was going
bit?
to
Or
leave it to a timeline. There's a tentative album release date of end of February.
oh wow, okay.
Yeah, and it will coincide with a sort of cohort release to go along with it. Which I think is a surprise. You can do your own guessing and math if you want. But yeah, the new record, there'll be, I think, in total, probably 3 singles, including Summermouth, so 2 more. Then the record drops in the winter. And man, are we stoked about it. Another very visual, evocative cover. I can tell you, what can we say, Pat? What do you think? How
You're
many
being
tracks
real
there are?
careful.
Can we say that, right?
I don't think we can say much.
There's a lot of people that want to know, and that's a good thing.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm glad. I'm glad. I think we're stoked. I think if you like, it's got some balls to it. Maybe it's got some more balls than Always and Always has. So in that sense, it's like it's got a little bit more of like what Love Life in January had in terms of like wanting to go out and play live, that energy to it. I think some of our blueprint at first was like, some up-tempo tracks. I don't know. I have a personal playlist of like my inspiration tracks while we were making this record, and it's got Big Neon Glitter by the Cult. It's got,
Oh wow, yeah.
yeah, it's got a couple Chameleon songs, and a lot of like for me, it was a lot of post-punk. That sort of urgency.
Yeah.
Urgency, good word for this, Pat. Do you think?
Yeah, I mean it's a record. It's got a vibe from like the beginning.
It's a
to the end.
record. Thanks, Pat. You're awesome.
I mean, it's not, I mean, I feel like a lot of our things,
This
we
just
just
in.
kind of, a lot of our songs were just like songs, right? That we just kind of put them together. But like this is an intentional record, like from front to back. Like we listened to songs together. Like I remember Alex sending us like ideas, like I want to make a song like this, right? Like we've never done that before. And that's super neat. And I feel like that's what this record is. It's like a intentionally put together record with like a front to back. It's a book.
Yeah.
Ooh.
The songs are a little bit more handpicked. There are a lot of songs that were done and almost done, like that we didn't put on this record. And it's because we picked, I think, the strongest that we all felt most passionate about that fit together in a way. Like it meant to feel, we wanted a cogent and purposeful record. And there's some themes through it, and there are some sonic themes to it as well. It's not just lyrical. Yeah.
Concepts? Is it a concept album or?
No. No, but there are. If we keep doing this, eventually we'll have to have a concept record.
It's called Eros
The next one.
Eros Zeta
Next one.
2.
Is it about a pinball
By the
wizard?
church.
It's about a pinball wizard. Yeah. Yeah. Oh man. I mean, if someone said sit down and write a concept record, I think we all be like, sure, let's do it.
Are you guys planning on playing live anytime soon?
A loaded question. There's no current plans. I will say, and I'll let Pat finish on this one. Like, there's been discussion, but it would take something for us to put a show back together because we're 3/5 of the original Julies. We're writing pretty expansive albums where Alex and Pat are playing guitar, bass, synth. We have friends that can play and fill in those gaps, and we have old bandmates that were part of that back history. But we are definitely like a studio project that if somebody had a compelling invitation to play, and there have been some almost ones, then maybe, but it's not high on the list. It's a funny conversation inside with the three of us, but I would say that don't get your hopes up. But who knows? Pat, what do you say?
We're going
Say
to
what you're saying, baby.
we're going to start up VH1 Bands Reunited and get you guys. You guys even remember that? You probably don't.
I do.
Oh yeah, dude, of course you do.
We're gonna track you down, and
You show up at your house, cameras.
Yeah.
we'll get
feel like
John. We'll get John, and yeah, show up at his job or
People who
whatever.
really want to see us play out live are Chris's kids. And
Yeah, I mean, my main incentive is like nobody in my family has ever seen my band play. My wife and kids, and they just don't understand why we wouldn't play. So that is probably my main incentive. That and the fact that, like Pat said, there was some conversation about a show back in the day, and it was going to be like different artists from similar scene that Bill from Boston, Ohio was thinking about trying to put together. But Pat said earlier about people coming from everywhere, like. There were people that were hearing about this from all over the country that were like, if that happens, I'm buying airfare.
Crazy.
And that's a crazy thought. And
It's awesome.
I would love to deliver for the people that would care that much. At the same time, that's a lot of pressure. We don't need that pressure, do we, Pat?
Well, Pat, what is your other band? It was mentioned earlier that you have another band, or
Oh, I play with a local band here in my town.
Gotcha.
We have something on Spotify, but
Tugboats, my friends. Tugboats, it's called.
Tugboats. Okay,
Tugboats?
Gotcha. Yeah,
instrumental weirdo shit.
cool.
Yeah, it's a
For
lot of
some reason, it rings a bell. Maybe was it mentioned in an interview or something? Maybe I don't know.
Both have a bell.
Yeah, we posted about
Yeah,
it.
so that's what it's about.
It's come up, right? Yeah, we've talked about it.
Found
Great
it.
T-shirts. It's a regular rotation T-shirt.
Thank you.
Well, thanks a lot, guys. Thanks for sharing everything. Thanks for getting personal a little bit. Thanks for
Our pleasure.
going a little below the surface. That's what we like, you know.
Spilling some news.
Yeah,
Yeah, you
spilling
got some
some
scoop.
sort of spilling some moves.
That's right.
I'm gonna
Yeah,
go
we're super
message
excited about the new record. I hope you
Clifton
guys like it.
from Your Music Saved Us podcast and say, hey, look, here's what's coming from the Julies.
You scooped
That's
them.
right.
Yeah. No. Happy to give you a news exclusive.
Yeah, but yeah, thanks a lot for your time. Your time is valuable, so we really appreciate it. So
Thank you
That
so
was a
much.
good hang. I appreciate it, Kevin.
thanks for making it happen. You know.
It's good talking to you.
Well, thanks for listening through all these years and having us on a podcast that you had almost all the church members on.
Yeah. We got to work
For
on
Marty.
Marty. We get it Marty on.
That's it. And you got the original four.
I would like to interview Jeffrey Kane too.
Yeah.
Who's part of the church now and was
Yeah.
in Remy Zero. So.
Yeah. I briefly hung out with him outside after one of the church shows. He's a very nice guy. I'm sure he'd be an utter gentleman guest.
We'll make
So,
it happen at some point.
I'm
But
sure
yeah,
you
you guys were on my list early on when I started doing this 3 or 4 years ago. I made a list of bands and the Julies were one of them. I mean, I stopped more or less listening to anything that was related to the Christian market, like in the early 90s kind of, but I still had a foot in kind of. And so that's how I heard, a lot of different groups. And so there was that mystique because I was always intrigued because I really liked the EP and I was like, and then you disappeared. And so I'm like, okay, I want to find out what happened. I want to talk to them. So anyway,
We've only ever had a foot in to the Christian scene, even while being in it. We never really understood what it was and what it was doing, and we just okay. But yeah, that mystique is wow. It's been fun having that because it's given us a little fuel for this second act.
cool.
Yeah, we're not that mysterious in real life, so as you're finding out.
Boring.
It's shattered. The illusion is shattered. Well, thanks a lot. Have a great night. You'll probably hear it in a couple months because the rate I go.
Okay, but then it might not be an
'Cause it
exclusive.
takes me
so,
forever to
Oh
edit.
man,
I'm
Gotta
way
I
hurry up.
behind.
guarantee you exclusivity for 2 months. Just so you know.
We
How
put the
far am I
video out
behind,
first.
Jim? I'm
we
one,
got a
2.
couple.
Yeah,
two,
I'm
I
not that
think.
far behind right now.
Yeah.
Editing, Dramarama. We have that. John
Jersey
Easdale. We have John
Yeah,
Easdale.
I live
There's
near-
there's a Jersey connection. Yeah.
Yeah, totally. Also, Matt Pinfield connection. They were a
So-
good friend. Yeah.
All right.
Documentary.
We'll talk soon. We'll let you know where we're at when we drop it, just so you know.
All right. Well, hopefully we shatter illusions of all
And we'll keep in touch if we hear anything new.
Thanks, guys.
We'll talk to you again.
Thanks
Good talking to you.
Your
Have a good
kindness.
night.
Dude.
Bye, guys.
See you.
And that is going to wrap it up for the awesome conversation that we had with Chris and Pat of the Julies. Once again, we missed you, Alex, on the episode, and hopefully you will be able to listen to this and approve or disapprove of what the other members have said. If you haven't yet checked out the music of the Julies, you definitely should go and check it out. We've got a real vibe for the 80s alternative bands like The Cure, The Smiths, and so many others. And as I said, they disappeared and have come back more mature and stronger than ever. So check out all of the links in the show notes. The band is super easy to find. I would recommend you go to Bandcamp to check out all of their releases. There is some vinyl there. There is the original EP, Lovelife, which I think was out on vinyl, but I think is sold out now. But their most recent album, Always and Always, is out, and you can find that on vinyl, digital, and I believe there's a CD option, but I can't remember for sure right now. but check that out. And then please be looking for their newest album, which will be dropping early next year in February of 2026. As always, I would like to thank those of you who have been here before and come back for more. It means so much to me that you all are following, listening, commenting, and tuning in to the community of listeners for this little niche of music. Hopefully, I'm presenting something that you guys truly value and something that exists, and presenting a little musical corner of the world that doesn't exist quite the same way anywhere else. As I mentioned in the intro, our next episode will feature the band The Swoon, so feel free to seek them out. I can't remember if they're on Bandcamp or not. I know they're working with Low Fidelity Records, and hopefully at some point they will get the self-titled EP, also known as Benson Patrice on one side, along with Neverland, which is the sessions done with Charlie Peacock and Derry Doherty at Neverland Studios on side B. So hopefully there will be a reissue of that. I'm hoping vinyl, but we'll see. And also their second release, Spectacular Illusions. I shouldn't say their second release because actually it was never released, but it exists and I have heard it. And it is just as magical as the first release. And hopefully we'll be seeing that come to fruition in the very near future. Until next time, thanks so much for tuning in. Peace and love to you all. Take care.
Here's the Julies with their single The Heartbreak Life.